IC340, this is the weekly pep talk on Monday. We are almost done. We have only the final exam to do. This week is truly a dead week. I believe in dead week. So hopefully you'll get some time to recharge your batteries this week. You know, just lay around the house, watch some TV, snack a little bit. You know, if you haven't had a chance to do that in the last few weeks. That's pretty much all I do. Just kidding. Overview, quickly. Exam 3, a little rough around the edges, but pretty solid, kind of like me. We will grade that by Wednesday or Thursday so that you know where you stand in the class and can make a decision about pass, fail versus taking this class for a grade. This week we are just going to have a review worksheet. We'll have our usual office hours if you want to check in. And I may make a few short videos showing you how, or reminding you how to solve different problems that you'll need to know for the final, but at this point you should just be reviewing your notes moving into the final exam. I'll talk about that in a second. Please fill out the course evaluation survey. It is extra credit and anonymous. The only way I can give you extra credit for a survey that I don't know if you submitted it is if everyone gets extra credit. So if 160 out of 160 students do the survey, you all get 16 out of 16 extra credit for a final homework. I think at last check we had maybe 40 had submitted it, which would be you all get 4 out of 4 for the last homework. It's a homework. But please do fill out the survey. Your feedback is important, especially since we may be teaching this class online in the fall. I think they want to teach all large classes online in the fall. I don't know if I would teach it, but regardless, your feedback is very important and I want to know how we can improve. Don't forget there is a small assignment, 10-point homework assignment for WebEx check-in. That will go through next Monday, and that will be the end of the opportunity to do that. All you have to do is sign up to talk to Shreya or Jibin or me, sorry. And you get your 10 points. And I ask you how you're doing, where are you, good luck, and blah, blah, blah. There is one extra credit homework problem this week if you wanna work on it, if you want some extra credit for homework. It's a bit of a challenge problem. I'll show you a video of that one in a second. Final exam will be next Monday, and I will talk about the final exam in detail in another slide. This is the setup here. You have a flow going left to right, first law of fluid mechanics. You have a ball floating on the surface of the water and a chain holding it back, and what you're trying to predict is the shape of the chain using some basic ideas that we've learned in the class. Okay, so that extra credit problem will be due Friday at 5 p.m. You can also do a similar problem that's related to the shape of a string holding up a balloon if you're more interested in that one, okay? So you can send us an email if you want to know how to get started on this one. Okay, so on to the final thing. The final thing is the final, and it is a comprehensive final exam. So I always like to have a final exam that covers all of the topics that we've learned in the course. And so by definition, it's meant to be a broad exam, not necessarily a super deep exam. And so we'll release some materials that will let you see sort of the level of the question that we're wanting you to be able to do for the final exam, okay? But it will cover all the topics from exam 1, 2, and 3. And again, it's meant to hit the basics and test your ability to kind of do all the different problems in one setting. I always say it's kind of like the FE exam. That's kind of the style it's going for. So when is the exam? So we're going to release it on Monday at midnight. So the transition from Sunday to Monday, that midnight. And it will be due not Monday, but Tuesday at 7 p.m. And the reason we're doing that is just so that everybody in every time zone can have a fair crack at the exam, and also that people with multiple exams will be able to find a window in that period of time. So that's that. There will be multiple versions of the exam. The format of the exam will be multiple choice, okay? So 15 to 20 questions, multiple choice. I know multiple choice sounds a bit harsh. We probably will also have you turn in your work as well so that we can see how you arrived at those solutions. but I don't give a lot of answers that are none of the above. And so multiple choice, calculator kind of a question, A, B, C, D. If you don't see your answer among A, B, C, D, or E, then you kind of know that you made a mistake. So in that way, it can actually help you, right? And so that's the format, multiple choice, and we're going to do that on Blackboard, okay? It should take less than 2 hours. That's actually what we're aiming for, and that's what I've always given with this exam. It's always been given in the traditional 2-hour time slot. We are going to time this exam, so this will be administered through Blackboard. This will be, we're going to give you more than 2 hours just to account for any technology or anything. Probably somewhere between 3 and 4 hours is the time that you will have available to do this exam. So it will be timed though, and you will get 1 attempt. So it's not like you're going to be taking the exam from midnight on Monday through 7 p.m. on Tuesday. You just want to set aside a block of time, and you want to be able to knock that out. And I will say that this is unlike the last few exams that we've done online, right? This exam will also be open note. But because of the time issue, you do not want to just sort of show up cold to the exam and assume that you're going to be able to scroll through your notes and find something that is looking like the problem you're trying to solve. You want to be organized and ready to just execute all of the different solutions to the problems, okay? Mostly calculator questions, but there will be some conceptual questions, things like my old favorite, where is pressure greatest, where is pressure lowest, those kinds of questions. So you should be prepared for a few conceptual questions as well. It does cover the entire course, I mentioned that. And we do have a final exam review folder that is going to get populated more and more through the week. I have, I think, one old final that I threw in there. And there is some other stuff in there right now, and we're going to post some additional problems and perhaps some video solutions of different problems. If there are things you would like to see, let us know, and we can try to create those materials this week, okay? Just to remind you what we covered in this class, we started out with fluid properties, density, specific weight, blah, blah, blah. Hydrostatics, so that includes manometry, it includes forces on planar surfaces, location and the magnitude, and what else? Buoyancy is another one that is a consequence of hydrostatics, as you all know now. Then we moved into Bernoulli, so the fluid started moving. We had inviscid flow, that's the kind of the assumption that goes with Bernoulli. And one thing you want to pay attention to in the exam is if you see us say flow is frictionless or flow is inviscid, that's basically, that should trigger the idea that you should be using the Bernoulli equation. Bernoulli is the main equation we use when flow is inviscid, okay? And if it's not inviscid, you shouldn't be using Bernoulli. After that, we moved into viscous flow, so viscosity and shear stress, we really just do those simple problems with two plates moving relative to one another or a force balance related to that. That wasn't a big part of the course, but it kind of gets us into things like the no-slip condition and our next unit, which is pipe flow, for which friction is really important. Okay, so viscosity is kind of a key ingredient that goes with pipe flow. By now you're all experts on type 1, 2, and 3 problems. We didn't do very much with pumps this year, so if you see things on, well, I typically would not test on pumps in the final exam anyway. So just be sure you know how to do the basics with pipe flow, head loss, pressure drop, things like that. Plug and chug with the pipe flow energy equation. You're not going to get some sort of an elaborate type 3 problem in the final exam. This is meant to be, how do you calculate head loss in a pipe? You use the friction factor from the Moody diagram, from the Reynolds number, that sort of stuff. Conservation of mass and linear momentum, those two topics kind of come right after pipe flow in this course. We had the unsteady conservation of mass, and then steady, we had a little bit of integration to get the flow rate, that sort of thing with conservation of mass. And then we had the idea between volumetric flow rate and mass flow rate, m dot versus q. And then we had the conservation of linear momentum, which we just got tested on, so you're probably good at that because it's fresh in your mind. Open channel flow, you're all experts, so you should be able to use Manning's equation. That will definitely be on the final exam. I can almost guarantee it 100%. And then specific energy, you should have a working knowledge of how to use that concept and maybe how to plug in an E1, E2 kind of an equation. And then lastly, we had drag and lift. We didn't get too far into that unit, but you should be able to apply a basic drag coefficient to calculate the drag on a cylinder and a sphere, and maybe a few other objects if you were given the chart and the definition of the drag coefficient. Okay, so those are the topics, and let us know if there are certain questions you have about any of those. Okay, and with that, we are almost done. So we have one more week. Don't forget your WebEx check-ins. Come and see us. We get lonely. We will try to organize things. I was trying to maybe think about do something that I could do live. I don't know, but I don't know what I would do live. It seems hard with 160 people to do anything live. But if anybody has any ideas for what they would like to see this final week, let us know. We're going to be grading the exams for the early part of the week, and I assume you have other stuff going on, but you know, keep studying, and we're almost done. We're going to make it through the end of the semester. You've all done really well. I've been impressed with how you've done the transition to online. And then we have the summer, so we're almost there. So I'll talk to you. I'll see you. I'll make a video for you in a few days or something. I don't know what we say in this virtual environment, but ciao.